You're going to enjoy this one. We got a couple of Tommy Robbins supporters here. One from England, a couple from England, and another one from Scotland. Both very sensible people, very nice. And I was talking to the gentleman from Scotland. What we got coming in here was probably the poster child for stupidity on the left. I mean, this guy was the Cuck's Cuck. I got off on a tangent with this guy about how the left kind of like falls into believing anything that's thrown their way. We get into global warming. This guy butts in with his, oh, global warming is real. And from there, flipped over to border security and then back to global warming. But all along the way, this guy was just bringing out just talking point after talking point. And you're going to notice how every time he says something, he, we're supposed to take his word for it. But every time I bring up a point, I have to pull a document out to prove it. So the hypocrisy reigns supreme in this one. And it just exposes, when this guy gets slapped down by this Scottish guy, it's priceless. You can see where he just starts getting lost in his own minutia. And another thing you notice about him is how well, every time you catch him on a point, because most of these things are just basic common sense, and when you bring up the common sense, how this idiot will go ahead and go, well, it's always more complicated. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of levels to the conversation, so, you get slapped down and then it's like everything's more complicated. This guy tying his shoelaces is complicated. Anyway, you know how this works. If you like me out there doing these kind of things and showing these idiots up for what they are, then you hit the like button. And if you're new to this channel and you like what I'm doing, you subscribe. If you're old to the channel, you hit the subscribe button again anyway, because they keep on knocking off subscribers, as everybody well knows. And if you would like to support me in my efforts, well, there's several ways to do that, One way I do enjoy is when people buy my products and buy my designs. So you can go ahead and get some of these designs and wear them around and start your own conversations and trigger liberals along the way. And then there's my PayPal account. If you want to, you can sign up for automatics. I would ask if you would do subscribe and a regular subscriber and like what I do, that you kick in at least $5 a month. It helps out. It all adds up, because I am an outdoor deal here. So when the weather turns bad, I can't get out, or for whatever other reasons I can't get out, and it does hurt me a great deal. So I have to rely on you guys to go ahead and kind of fill in the gap so I can, keep the rig running, because it does cost money. So if you would help me do that, please go to my PayPal account, badassunclesam76@gmail.com, and my store, badassunclesam.threadless.com. And get yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or hoodie or a cell phone cover or a mug. Well, that's it. I want to thank you very much. And let's get to this one. And God bless you. God bless America. Keep you safe. Believe in Jesus, America, and the American way. Here we go, on the streets. Yes. What part of England are you from?
Derby, which is about 100 miles north of London.
Yes, and how do you feel about Tommy?
I think he's not being given a free rein to speak with. It's not an all the media. He's got to go underground, he gets arrested wherever he goes without saying a word.
Yes, there's talk that he might run for Parliament.
He should do, he'll get re-elected.
I think so.
They just say as it is, they don't say anything, but a lot of the Muslims in Britain, they are. What he said is true. They're running around, rounding up all the young girls and passing them around. But it's not publicised properly.
Yes.
Because that's offensive to the Muslims.
Yes. And that's strange, isn't it?
You might offend them.
But, I mean, and yet they're persecuting Christians and no one says a thing about that.
Yeah. Oh, no, because that's
what they want.
That's it. It's not right.
I know. What do you think is behind all this? What do you think's going on? Why would your politicians...
I think they're scared of having a backlash because there's that many in the country now, and we know they're all lunatics when they go that way. They're all capable of doing the same thing.
What the hell is it? I mean, scared. I mean, it's like, why? What do you suppose? If you were scared of the Nazis, should you just let them in?
Well, that's what a lot of them did, didn't they?
Yeah, but we fought them.
We did fight them.
We did fight them. Why should we kowtow to the Muslims? I mean, I don't get it.
I agree.
There's a lot of good Muslims, but it's just they get on the fringe, and then I don't know what happens in the mosque, but somehow they come out all fired up, and we need to kill all non-Muslims. It's like, well, what happened from you going in to you coming out? I don't know.
But I still don't understand why a lot of the politicians, I mean, they ought to be fighting for you. They ought to be fighting for you, not these invaders. Why aren't they sticking up for you?
They're scared of being called a racist. That's all behind it.
Well, what the hell is this being scared bullshit? I mean, I don't understand it.
Because a lot of them are white middle class, and if they say that, they're classed as racist.
I mean, I'm out here being called all kinds of things all day. I don't get scared of it. I mean, I like going, oh, gee, people are calling me a racist. Screw them. I mean, it's...
Well, they're all for the popular vote, so they don't want to say it because it'll harm their career if they get stigmatised.
But I don't understand that either, because you are not going to vote for politicians that are scared of Muslims. You're going to vote for Tommy Robinson.
Well, if you get the opportunity, yeah.
I mean, you'll vote for Nigel Farage. You'll vote for the politicians that stick up and stand up for you.
Yeah, I like Nigel Farage. Tells them like it is.
Yes.
Tells the European Parliament they're a bunch of crooks and loonies and stuff. And it's him and about half a dozen that said the same.
And being that they would be popular with the good Britons, it would seem to me that the wishy-washy politicians would get onto this and see that.
They just want, a lot of them are just interested in their own career. They want to stay in politics all their life.
But they're not going to stay in politics if you vote against them.
But we don't like, you've got two people to vote for president. We've got a queen, so we just vote for the government, and you only stand for a certain area. And then once you get into Parliament, you don't have the same say. But it's just how our system is slightly different to yours. I'm glad you guys posted up.
Oh yeah, well he's obviously I'm a big fan of his. I mean, he does what I do on steroids. I mean, I'm out here in a tourist area, but he goes into the lion's den.
There was a big march in London, and he was stood on the other side of the road, and the police arrested him and took him away because he was causing trouble.
He wasn't standing in front of a courthouse reporting on what was going on inside, and they said he influenced the court, what was going on, inciting violence. How do you do that?
It wasn't, because it was covered up. There's no press coverage of the court case at all.
I know.
Until afterwards, and then we're just a little two-minute statement on the national news.
But now, last I heard, they pushed the charges off. You're supposed to go back. They keep on trying to trump up things on him all the time.
They'll find something, can't they, eventually, and try and lock him up. But
They wouldn't allow him over here. He was going to come and speak to our Congress.
Oh, what did they allow him?
They wouldn't allow him in. They wouldn't allow him over here.
But he doesn't say kill the Muslims.
No, he doesn't.
It's not like the Muslims say kill the Christians. And
No, he's a common sense guy.
Yeah.
He actually always tries to talk to the Muslims. He actually tries to get some dialogue.
Why do you think that way? What's told you to that? And then it's...
I'm going to walk up.
Okay. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I pray for you guys.
Okay. Good luck. And your campaign.
Robinson?
Yeah.
Good.
He speaks sense.
Yes, he does. He sort of does what I do on steroids. I'm out here in a tourist area speaking the truth. He goes into the lion's den and speaks the truth.
Yeah.
There's been talk that he might run for Parliament.
So you should.
Yes.
Well, he says it how it is.
Yes.
So how do you go down here? People like you? Or
Well, the ones that like me do. The ones that don't, well, I don't know about that. Not much of them say much. You might shoot me the bird and walk on. That's the only way I'll know.
okay.
But for the most part, most people haven't got the courage to come up and talk their convictions, and so they remain silent, I guess. But it's a positive I get out here, because people that like what I'm doing, of course, will voice their opinion.
So you're basically saying that neither party is any good?
Oh, I don't think the parties as a whole, no. I think that most of the politicians are being controlled by other entities than listening to us. Otherwise, why are we so pissed off? Why are things always so wrong?
We were talking about that. So it's like the oil industry, the coal industry, the gun lobby, everything.
Yeah, I was speaking to a couple of British people today that Tommy Robinson did, and the subject, of course, was, well, why are the politicians so afraid of the Muslims and not afraid of the people that they're supposed to represent? What's that disconnect?
Well, the problem is that we're too scared to offend anyone, so we pander to.
Well, who gives a shit? It's sort of, well, were you afraid to offend the Nazis?
Yeah. That you would be nowadays. Yeah, you would be. It'd be like, oh, you can't say anything against them. Why not?
Yeah. Well, so you think it's the infusion of the politically incorrect?
Yeah. It is. In Britain, it definitely is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. To be fair, you guys, at least you support your military and, rightly or wrongly, no matter what they're doing, you support the actual men on the ground. We don't. Tommy Robinson ran a big campaign about, because some soldiers got their photo taken with them, and they were all getting chucked out of the army for it. They got severe shit just for getting their photo with Tommy Robinson. Why should they not allowed to get their photo with Tommy Robinson? Yeah. It's in our country. Everybody bangs on about Donald Trump. I'm from Aberdeen. He just built a golf course just north of Aberdeen, 5 miles north of Aberdeen. Huge controversy because it was all sand dunes and conservation land, and he built a golf course. At the end of the day, the guy created a load of jobs. Everybody's anti-Trump in Britain, and you got all these people going, "Oh, we don't want Trump coming here. He's a disgrace," and all the rest of it. But we roll out the red carpet to the bloody king of Saudi Arabia. The guy's fucking cutting heads off. The royalty and the Prime Minister goes and greets him coming off of his private jet, and we don't want Trump here. I argue this with people all the time. I say, hang on a second, you're anti-Trump, but I show them a picture of the Crown Prince of Saudi. You go, do you like that guy? I don't know who he is. He says, well, before you start speaking shit, learn about your politics. He says, Trump, what's he actually done? He says, at the end of the day, the American people voted for him. He's not our president. They voted for him. So what? He built a golf course that you don't like. So what? He's a businessman. He did. At the end of the day, if we didn't want it, we could have stopped him. But our politicians allowed them to build the golf course, but we roll out the red carpet for somebody that regularly beheads people. I mean, there's a girl in Saudi Arabia beheaded, a Filipino girl, because she got raped by a Saudi guy, and she stabbed him in self-defense, and she got beheaded because she got raped. Yeah, and the Saudi government kills somebody in Turkey. You know, a guy walks into their embassy and doesn't walk out again, and that's okay. But we'll still roll out the red carpet for these fuckers. But we don't want Trump in our country.
What do you think? Pulling back and look at the bigger picture, and get beyond that. Well, they're just afraid to offend them. Because I think the politicians, they're not really, I don't think that's their position. I think, in a sense, they're using the Muslims to force a bigger agenda. In the sense that to bring down Western civilization as a whole, to lower everybody's standards, and then bring in a one-world government. Because the elites, being the elites that they are, will never suffer from that. They're going to live in their gated communities. They're going to always be, feel protected. They don't really give a flying for us at all.
But so it's basically the Illuminati, isn't it? It's like you've got this greater power that actually runs the world, and we don't even know who they are, or we got an idea, but they run the world. And you think he's in charge of the US? You've got to be joking. He does what he's told. There's people way greater than him that pull. Yeah,
but there is a pushback where he is fighting against the deep state, is what we call it here, of course, because in essence, our deep state or shadow government is the FBI, the CIA. Those are their enforcers for the Illuminati. The pushback, though, is we got the Tommy Robinsons, we got the Nigel Farage. Italy's pushing back with Salvini. You got Brexit, which they're trying to overthrow. Again, the will of the people being overthrown. Right? Brazil elected a Trump kind of personality.
Here's me. I voted for Brexit, but if it goes to another vote, I'm going to vote to stay in. I've totally changed my mind, because I would rather stay in than what they're offering us right now, which is Brexit. But
they bastardized it.
Yeah, I voted to be out.
Yes,
I don't want out, but
halfway.
The halfway shit, where we actually are still paying for everything, but we've got even less say than we had before. I mean, that's even worse.
They bastardized. They went ahead and bastardized.
So if they have another vote, I'm going to vote in, because I don't think we'll ever get out, which is what everybody voted for. Everybody voted for out. Properly out.
It's a shame that, because then the people's will is truly being
ignored. Absolutely, it's totally ignored. Farage in Europe is just amazing. You hear him speaking.
He's talking about running again.
Yeah, well, you hear him in the European Parliament, and he just absolutely rips them apart. He's hilarious.
I know, he's great.
I voted for out, and I'm not getting that. But all our politicians, and I don't know what it's like here, is we used to have, when I was young, you had very left and very right-wing politicians, and it didn't matter what you believed in, they actually genuinely believed in what they believed in, and they had strong views. Nowadays, everybody has just come like that. You can't tell the difference between a Conservative and a Labour MP. Tony Blair was the most Conservative MP that we've had in the last 20 years. Labour, the guy's just... A, he should be in prison for war crimes, and B, he was, he started the whole politician's nose in the trough, and he just milked that for what it's worth. He's the richest prime minister this country's, or our country's, ever seen, because he knew how to play that game. Labour, every single one of those Labour politicians, do as I say, not as I do, because I'll shove my nose in the trough and line my pocket. You know, all this workers' rights and all the rest of it. Yeah, we believe in that, but we don't actually. You know, we just do what's good
even
for
lip
us.
service.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can't tell the difference between a Labour politician and a Conservative politician. They've come so close together. They're the same
Well,
thing.
here it's almost the opposite. I mean, in the sense that our left is going so far left now that, you know, then on the other hand, you get the right going, you know, becoming, well, I wouldn't say becoming more right. They're probably, maybe they are. But certainly the left has gotten so far right that the division in the Gulf here has gotten wider and wider.
Well, arguably we have too with Corbyn. I mean, he's kind of brought in the left, totally left again. But the problem was that in the past, when they were very, very left, they were unelectable because they were too far left. And Corbyn, you know, he won't win because he's too left wing. You know, Blair knew what he had to do to win. You know, he had to move into the middle, and he did it, and he did it in style. You know, and in my opinion, absolutely wrecked our country along the way. You know, everybody's gone on about all the cuts and, you know, everything that's happening. This is a mess that was left by a Labour government. They basically shat and walked out. Gordon Brown, Tony Blair, they absolutely fucked our country and just walked away.
And he was just a puppet for the world order and the, you know, the wars and everything else. Absolutely. Again, though, I do see a pushback. I'm seeing people waking up, and, you know, there is an awakening. There is a pushback coming. I don't know where it's going to go. Hopefully, you know, that it's enough to get us back to some place that's sane, because I don't see anything that's...
The problem is you say something and you're a racist. I'm not racist. You know, we're a Christian country. Yeah. I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I understand that I live in a Christian country, so I live under that umbrella. That's it. Yeah.
Well, that's getting back to the political correctness again, which they use as a weapon, using language as a weapon to stifle dissent. Because, I mean, the cheapest way to end an argument is to call someone a racist.
Yeah.
You know, that just ends the argument right there. That doesn't mean anything, you know. I mean, I get it out of her all the time, so I know.
Yeah.
You know. But that, I think people are seeing through that. I mean, there was yesterday I saw an article, I guess it was CNN. Todd, one of the pundits, had a full hour dedicated to global warming, but we're not going to listen to anybody that denies global warming. All our panelists believe in it because the science is settled. That kind of dogma is, I think people hopefully would see through it. When you don't allow dissenting voices in, you're really defeating your own purpose.
All right, that's horseshit. The vast majority of scientists, research, fundamental, it's all out there. You have one person who's going to say, no, you can't give them equal time. Everybody else who says, the climate is changing.
Well, of course the climate's changing. It's always changed.
But it's never changed faster than it ever has before.
No, you have no proof of that.
Yes, we do.
Well, can I ask you this question? Can I ask you this question then?
Yes.
All right. You believe in man-made global warming?
Yes.
Okay. CO2 is the big boogeyman, am I correct?
Is one of.
But no, that's the one they're taxing. That's the one they're saying we have to reduce. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is the correct amount of CO2 that should be in the atmosphere?
380 million parts per, 380 particulates per million.
That's the correct amount?
Yes.
Right now, it's...
If we live within that...
Who says that's the right amount?
It has been, well, there has been studies that show that if we go above that level of particulates in the atmosphere, the temperature of the Earth will start rising.
That's bullshit. Those charts are complete bullshit.
How do you know? Prove to me.
But look it up. That never has the increase.
No. Where?
I'll bet you money.
show me an article right now.
Look it up.
No. Show me. You're talking shit out here. You got a whole stand out here talking shit.
And I'm telling you that right now.
Prove your argument. Don't just say look it up.
How much?
You have no.
How much CO2 is in the air?
Prove it
during the Jurassic period.
I have no idea. I wasn't alive, but I can look it up. But prove it. If you do core samples in ice, which they've been doing in Iceland and Greenland and other parts of the world, you can tell how much carbon.
Well, let me ask you this:
you're not
carbon CO2, correct?
Yes. Okay.
Is a natural ingredient in the atmosphere. Am I correct?
To a certain degree, yes.
To a certain degree.
Yes.
What are you talking? What meaning to a certain degree?
Yes, it's going to happen. Because
well, it's natural. It's an element of life. Am I correct?
Of course, it's going to happen.
It's an element of life. Plants breathe it in. Am I correct?
But you can't.
It's their oxygen. Are you going to let me talk? Plants breathe it in. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it's a reciprocal gas. As we breathe out CO2, they breathe it in. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the more CO2, and this has been proven in clinical studies and people I know that grow plants that put CO2 into their hothouses, the plants grow faster and larger. So with more CO2, we get more food. With more food, we thrive.
Hand me a document. You're not. You're just saying.
Well, then why? What I'm saying, with the CO2, with Todd eliminating any dissenters, with censorship in itself says your argument sucks. Why wouldn't you want to have someone in there that gives you an argument saying that this is wrong?
Let's move away from climate change because
why shouldn't we? Because you're losing the argument.
I'm not losing the argument. I want to move away.
You can't answer my questions.
You can't answer mine.
Oh, I got a whole computer back here that can answer it.
Pull it up.
Let's go.
So, how do you feel about Trump's constant lying?
What did he lie about?
He's lied about everything.
Give me an example.
Just last week he said there's a 10-foot wall around Obama's home in Washington, D.C.
Okay. There is.
There isn't. He's lied about the fact that he keeps telling you that Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Mexico's not going to pay for the wall, but yet you want to believe that it is. You believe that actually.
Do you think we need a wall?
Immigration? No, we don't need a wall.
Why not? Do you have doors on your house?
Of course I have a door.
Why do you have doors on your house?
It's a specious argument.
No, why do you have doors on your house? Answer me that question.
To keep the weather out.
Keep the weather. So if it wasn't for the weather, you just take doors off your house. I mean, let's say you live in a climate that.
Actually, I have.
So you'd let anybody walk in your door?
I have family in.
You let anybody walk in your door?
I have family.
You let anybody walk in your door? You wouldn't give a damn about who walked in your door. Am I correct? That's your argument?
No, you're not letting me finish mine. I have family.
I'm asking you a question. Would you let anybody walk in your door?
In theory, yes.
You would?
Are you a Christian?
Would you let a murderer and a rapist and a thief walk in your door?
I don't know that you are.
Would you let a murderer, a rapist, and a thief walk in your door?
How do I know you are?
Well, you'd find out pretty quick if they were, if you didn't have any doors on your house, correct?
I have family in Southeast Asia who don't have doors in their house because you don't need it because of the weather.
I see. That's one of Southeast Asia. Would you do if you lived in Chicago? Would you do that?
I lived in Chicago for 10 years.
Would you do that? Did you have doors in your house there?
Of course I did.
Did you lock them?
Specious argument.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Well, how is that a?
Look, yes, you're going to lock the doors. Yes, there's bad people out in the world. Yes.
There you go.
But the problem with the actual problem of immigration isn't people coming over the border. There's more people overstaying their visas by far than actually coming over the border. You're just xenophobic.
Oh, well, I'm xenophobic.
Yeah.
No, I like to know who's coming into our country without being vetted. You know, I mean.
Yeah, like
I'd like to know who's coming in my door without,
white people came into this country without being vetted and took it over.
That's been throughout history. It's called, conquering.
Colonization.
It's been throughout history. That's the way it's been going.
Okay
We've always doing that.
We didn't
it's history.
So the history is people are coming. So by your argument, history is people are coming into this country. Maybe they're taking it over. Maybe this is the role of history that's supposed to happen. Our time running this country is over.
Surely in the past, the American Indians tried to defend their country. They lost that case.
Yeah.
So are you happy to just lose this case with all these Mexicans
coming in? Well, they're not happy
in?
to lose the case.
Are you happy
just the case? No,
I don't even come from here, and I disagree.
I know. You're Aussie? You're an Australian?
No.
Is that correct? What's that? Sorry. What?
Scottish.
Scottish. Oh, sorry. Well, then you sure as hell don't like the English, right? You guys, they took it over all the time.
Why would I not like the English?
Because they came up, took over Scotland
They never
repeatedly.
took over Scotland. We are a country.
Yeah, they made it. They said Scotland is part
Scotland.
of the UK.
Scotland is a separate country.
No, it's not.
It is.
It is not.
Are
It's
you
part
mad?
of the UK. No, I mean, I've been there and I love your country, by the way. Don't worry about that.
You obviously don't know anything about it. It's a separate country. It's a standalone country that is part of the
Then why
United
did you
Kingdom.
go- well,
It's
yeah.
it's part of a
Well,
greater
yes, you
thing.
do have your own parliament now, that's true. Well,
It's nothing to do with having your own parliament. I'm Scottish.
Yes.
I'm not Great British. I'm not English. I'm Scottish. I am a single country.
Yes, all right.
Thank you.
He's from there. I think he'd know, right?
All right.
Jeez. You're definitely arguing with the wrong person when it comes to Scotland.
I know, I will not argue about your own country. That's true. What the hell are we talking about? Yeah, but immigration is not necessarily, yes, that's a problem, but coming over the borders, it's minimal compared to the people who just come over here and overstay.
Well, they're breaking the law too, aren't they?
Yes, they are, but we're not doing anything about that. Your hackles aren't up about that.
Oh, yes, I am.
But you want the wall. But you'd rather pay for the wall.
But at least they come over. We know who they are. They got a visa.
But then
We're
they
just
stay,
when
then
you
we do
just
nothing
let
about it.
people walk across with no checking whatsoever. How the hell do we know who they are? What they want here, what they're doing.
But we came here in the first
At least people came in with a visa. We know, like, here's my identification.
Right.
This is who I am.
So what's your solution? You're going to build a 30-foot, 2,000-mile wall? Didn't work in China.
I think it works quite well in other places. It works well for Israel, works for others. I mean, Mexico's got a southern border.
They don't have a wall on it.
Yep, the hell they don't.
They have a wall on the southern border of Mexico?
Sure.
Hold up.
You know, but the point being is, I mean, we got to know who's coming into the country, don't we?
Well, yes.
Okay, so shouldn't then there be a way to block people from just walking across the border without us knowing who's coming in, where there's points of entry?
But you're never going to just stop it outright.
No, you never are, but you could try.
You certainly could, and a lot of it. I mean, why? Well, for you, then your argument is because you can't completely eliminate it. Let's just keep the border open. That's your argument?
Well, you want checks and regulations, yes. Immigration is an issue that needs to be dealt with for the idiocy.
So then a wall would be a way to do it.
Britain are Brexiting from Europe. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people voted for Britain to leave Europe? The number one reason behind that decision.
From what I've read, is that immigration is to a certain degree part of it.
It's the whole part.
But now they don't necessarily, because they realize how complicated and how kind of wrong everybody was pushing the idea of let's leave the UK. We're kind of realizing this is more complicated than we thought. So are we going to actually do it? I'm doubtful.
No, that's the politicians are saying that. The majority of the people in Britain wanted out. The politicians are. Well, we voted for it. So obviously the majority of the people wanted
But like the people who voted for Trump, the majority of people didn't vote for Trump. In fact, 40% of the population who could vote voted for Trump. And of that, it's a minor. So he didn't.
The majority of the people who voted must have voted for him.
No, they didn't. Hillary Clinton got 3 million more votes than Trump did. It's because we have the Electoral College.
Okay, you've got a different.
Yeah, we have a different system.
Okay.
Yes.
But,
so he didn't win the.
But the reality is, we had a straight vote on whether we leave, and the vast majority of the people making that decision is on the back of immigration, because we're sick and tired of people. They're coming over in rubber boats every day by the boatload, and we're just welcoming them in.
Is the problem
at what point in time does our country collapse because we can't afford these people? I'm working my ass off, paying ridiculous tax to pay for some lowlife who's never done a day's work and is bleeding our system dry. And trust me, when you've got as shit a life as they've got, they're going to want to come.
I know.
And it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter what we do. They're coming. Yeah. But we sure as hell have to try and stop them, or else our country is going to be the same shithole as they left.
Well,
it will.
Yes,
our country will collapse.
Yes,
because under the strain of all these parasites.
Yeah.
So am I racist? Am I racist?
No, you're not racist.
Okay.
Well, what I'm saying is that there's the problems are far more complex and intertwined than just saying let's kick them all out. Because the people
it's not complex. I don't want them. You're not welcome. You're not allowed here. Unless we invite you to come, don't come.
Well, I don't know what the history of immigration in England or Scotland is for the UK. But I know you.
Well, the history is, don't come unless we welcome you.
Which is a hard thing for somebody from the UK to be saying about the rest of the planet, frankly. Don't come unless you're welcome. You guys went everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's history.
And you weren't welcome.
That's history.
Yeah.
Right? But what are we supposed to live by everything that went 200 years ago, 100 years ago?
But you started the problem. And also, they're doing by example.
Oh, I not for 1 second. At the end of the day, Britain, English colonised the whole world. I accept that. Rightly or wrongly, they did it.
Yeah. And spread a lot of good things along the way. Western civilization happened to do a lot of good things.
In some ways it was better, in some ways it was worse.
Yeah.
So
you're benefiting from it. You are living in a Western civilization that has given you things that far better than most.
I'm well aware of the privilege of my birth, yes.
Yeah.
But I've also been to third world countries. I've been to war zones. I understand how we've fucked a lot of that all up too.
Yeah, I agree. But
well, then we get into more of a deep
your argument
state.
With everything just seems to be, there's nothing we can do about it, so let's not
bother.
No, I'm not. Let's not bother doing anything.
It's not that.
Let's just sit back and let everything happen the way it should be.
It's not.
You know?
No.
Because we colonise countries all over the world, we've got no right to stop people coming into our country.
Well,
that's a ridiculous argument.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
All right, I'm going to go find my wife.
Would you believe the head of the Weather Channel? Would you believe the man that started the Weather Channel calling climate change bullshit?
That's not the head of the Weather Channel.
No. But he's on it. Of course he's not. He's on here. He's being interviewed. Okay. Would you like to listen to him?
Climate deniers, people who believe climate change is not happening in any meaningful way, sometimes painted in the media as fringe characters. So this might shock you. A man who co-founded the Weather Channel thinks climate change is a hoax. His name is John Cuck. Before launching the Weather Channel, he was the weatherman on
Pleasure talking.
After launching the channel, he was also a local weatherman in New York, Chicago, and New York. Now he's retired, but his recent open letter saying that climate change is, quote, not valid, got a lot of attention and landed in prime time on Fox News. So what did the Weather Channel do? It very publicly disavowed him. After all, for those who believe that the climate is changing and fast, this is a life and death matter. I've said before here on reliable sources that I don't think there are two equal sides to climate change. The scientific consensus is that it's free to debate over what to do about it. That's why we're talking about it. Is unique, and so is the channel's declaration that it believes climate change is happening.
Well, he's just proving your point wrong.
Excuse me, you're not listening. Wait until the guy gets on here, okay?
Thank you for being here.
It's nice to be on CNN. Hello to all of your viewers. I resent you calling me a denier. That is a word meant to put me down. I'm a skeptic about climate change. And I want to make it darn clear, Mr. Kenny is not a scientist. I am. He's the CEO of the Weather Channel now. I was the founder of the Weather Channel, not the co-founder.
And I'm glad you did, because I am addicted to the Weather Channel. I watch a lot of cable news.
Now, hold on just a minute. I'm not done. And CNN has taken a very strong position on global warming that it is a consensus. Well, there is no consensus in science. Science isn't a vote. Science is about facts. And if you get down to the hard, cold facts, there's no question about it. Climate change is not happening.
Recording everything that's in front of you?
Oh, absolutely.
Man-made global warming now. There hasn't been any in the past, and there's no reason to expect any in the future. There's a whole lot of baloney, and yes, it has become a big political point of the Democratic Party and part of their platform, and I regret it's become political instead of scientific. But the science is on my side.
I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion about the topic right here. What I do wonder,
I know
though, is
we're
when
not,
you
because
see
you wouldn't allow it to happen on CNN. But I'm happy that I got on the air and got a chance to talk to your viewers. Hello, everybody. There is no global warming.
What I do wonder is when you see the government, when you see NASA, when you see other institutions say that 97% of climate scientists agree, do you think they're making it up? What I don't understand is how you square that.
Well, that's a manipulated figure, and let me explain it to you. The government puts out about $2.5 billion directly for climate research every year. It only gives that money to scientists who will produce scientific results that support the global warming hypothesis of the Democrat Party position. So they don't have any choice. If you're going to get the money, you got to support their position. Therefore, 97% of the scientific reports published support global warming. Why? Because those are the ones the government pays for, and that's where the money is. It's real simple. But that doesn't mean it's right. That doesn't make it true. That only makes it bought and paid for. The money goes in circles.
I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to try to refute you on the facts.
That's the truth.
I'll simply say that the vast majority...
Please stand back from this
None of this is actual scientific arguments.
Be on the air.
He's just saying...
The man's a scientist.
I know, but he's not actually giving me documented scientific images. He's just saying...
You look it up, brother. I tell you what, there's so much evidence out there that it's bullshit. It'll turn your head.
Well, hope viewers are Googling this.
And again, where's the money go? No. Follow the money.
Again, you're just taking this one guy's word.
No, there were plenty.
I'm done.
There were plenty. Yeah. Just because it undercuts your argument, you will walk away from it.
I'm willing to listen to an argument that I don't believe in.
No, you're walking away from it because you don't want to believe it. No. You got a religion going on. You got a doctrine. You don't want to be proven wrong.
No. I'm more than
This guy's a scientist, head of the Weather Channel, start of the Weather Channel.
You're not.
Why would he lie?
Big surprise.
Because he might have an agenda too, but he's also not.
What agenda would that be?
He is not giving me any facts.
You haven't listened to him.
Fox, they did put out this statement distancing themselves from me. They said, Mr.
All right, I'll listen to this whole thing.
In our company's history, and we appreciate the contributions that he made more than 30 years ago. However, we want to be clear, John Coleman is no longer affiliated with our company. How did you feel to see them disavow you in that way?
Well, no problem. I mean, that's all accurate. And the statement that's on their website, which they reissued this week, was written back in 2007. And that's a rather reasonable, warmist statement. It's not full of alarmism. It's not full of the sky is falling. It's a pretty reasonable statement. It's not the programming they put on the TV is not reasonable. And when they put on their climate geeks, those aren't scientists. Those are nuts.
You sound like a man disappointed.
They never put on a real skeptical scientist. They don't give us any spot on their channel. That's too bad.
But again, he's not offering up any actual science.
But he's just telling you they will not put people up there that are skeptics. They don't do it. All you're going to get is your echo chamber people that will back up what you believe.
The reason you believe that science
totally distorted
or the climate change isn't happening is because there's enough.
John, thank you for being here.
They make the balance of.
I helped start the Institute for Environmental Alternatives, Professor Ron Cohn, in 1971. I lived 3.5 years with scientists studying this very subject. I have forgotten more about this than most people know.
Well, then you should be able to offer me proof other than just this. Let me see a research paper.
There are plenty. Well, look it up. Watch the documentary, the Great Climate, the Great, what is it, the Great Climate Warming, or Global Warming Hoax.
By whom?
I'm glad to be here.
Several scientists put it out. There are 33,000 scientists that signed a paper saying it's a hoax. Look that up. They just don't publicize them. Why? Because it's political. The reason they want you to believe in this is so they control the energy. If they control the energy, they control the people. It's all about control. It's all political. It has nothing to do with science. Nothing.
To hear a statement.
All right, you're welcome to your beliefs.
Noted as a co-founder of
Sure.
the Channel, which is true. We're grateful that he got
I'm just going off of science, the real science, not the bullshit you're listening to.
So he's not really speaking for the way.
I think the stuff that you're listening to is bullshit. So how do we come?
You know, this guy. What agenda does he have?
And we've been unwavering.
Well, he gets on television.
Quite some time.
Well, big deal.
He gets his point out. Lots of people like our president love being on television.
Oh, so you think he just like this guy likes popularity? That's why he's out there.
Well, could be.
Oh, I see. That's that's a real bullshit argument. Maybe he really just wants to. I mean, he didn't have to do this. Guy's retired. Obviously, he doesn't need to. You know,
he's got an agenda. He's putting it out
what's
there.
The agenda?
The agenda is to prove that clients find that what everybody mostly thinks about what's happening to the climate isn't happening. That's his agenda.
It isn't.
So that makes me wonder if
I don't know.
I mean, Al Gore said that New York's is supposed to be underwater by now. Why isn't it?
At the end of the day.
Well, he didn't say it's supposed to be underwater by now.
Oh, the hell he didn't.
People can speak.
The hell he didn't.
By now? No.
Yes. The hell he didn't.
Where is that proof?
He said it in that bullshit, you know, what was that, the truth bullshit thing, that, you know, all the ice melt, we're going to be underwater, Florida will be underwater by this time.
Not this time, but they are.
The hell he didn't.
All right,
whatever. People ever say to you that climate change is good for business, good for the Weather Channel, because it causes very scary storms that cause people to tune in?
Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, we never like to see a loss of.
There's more disrespectful ones on the other side if you care to look at them.